Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving headfirst into the neuroscience of productivity today. And honestly, the science we're about to look at, it might just fundamentally change how you view your workday, your focus, and literally how your brain operates. So let's get right into it.
Let me start off by asking you a question. How many of you consider yourselves great multitaskers? Come on, be honest. I bet a lot of you are nodding right now. Maybe you're even doing something else while listening to me, like, checking emails or pretending to pay attention on a Zoom call. We all do it. We kind of wear our ability to juggle a dozen things as this badge of honor. But today, I'm going to challenge your ego just a little bit before we reveal a pretty hard scientific truth.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by breaking down the myth of multitasking. Then we'll find out if you're a supertasker, look at the very real cost of task switching, uncover the power of single tasking, explore how to enter the flow state, and finally, give you a step-by-step on how to actually single task. All right, Section 1, the myth of multitasking. Let's bust this illusion right out of the gate. So, society deeply believes that doing everything at once makes you some kind of superstar employee, right? The myth tells us that multitasking equals high productivity, but the scientific reality? It's completely different. Multitasking is basically an illusion. Your brain doesn't actually process multiple complex things simultaneously. Instead, what it's doing is rapid task switching. It's just frantically bouncing back and forth between tasks, which, as you'll see, completely degrades your focus. And that bouncing back and forth, it comes with a massive penalty. According to research published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, this constant task switching drops our efficiency by up to 40%. 40%! You are literally slowing yourself down by trying to go faster. It's wild. Moving on to Section 2. Are you a supertasker? The 2.5% exception. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, not me. I'm built differently. I can handle it. Well, in a really famous study by Strayer and Watson out of the University of Utah, they found that 97.5% of people suffer significant cognitive impairment when trying to multitask. Only 2.5% of the entire population are what scientists call true supertaskers. So, the hard truth is, you and I are almost certainly in that 97.5% majority who just suffer massive performance drops. Let's break down exactly what happened in that study because it's fascinating. Participants had to navigate a driving simulator while concurrently doing a really complex math and memory test called the OSPON. For the 97.5% majority, their normal human brains just failed. They had delayed braking, they literally crashed the simulated cars, and saw major drops in their math accuracy. But those rare supertaskers, no impairment whatsoever in driving, and they stayed in the top 25% for math accuracy. It's absolutely amazing, but again, exceedingly rare. Which brings us to Section 3, the cost of task switching. Let's look at the hidden toll this takes. Since the vast majority of us definitely aren't supertaskers, we really need to talk about the hidden physiological and mental toll this takes. Have you ever heard of attention residue? Professor Sophie Leroy came up with this brilliant concept. It's basically the cognitive hangover that happens when you switch to a new task while your brain is still stuck processing the unfinished previous one. Think of it like leaving way too many browser tabs open on your computer. Even if you aren't actively looking at them, they're silently draining your system's battery in the background. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is that it highlights a rigid biological limitation of our working memory. It's known as the cognitive bottleneck. See, the brain operates on a see, think, move loop. We are strictly limited to engaging in only one central cognition or thinking phase at any given exact moment. We simply do not have the biological hardware to process two complex thoughts simultaneously. It's just not how we're built. And the hormonal impact of fighting against this biological bottleneck is just wild. As Dr. James Rouse points out, multitasking creates a stress-inducing hormonal nightmare. It actually drives up your cortisol, increases anxiety, and lowers serotonin. Single tasking, on the flip side, it gives you this amazing confidence-building dopamine hit from a real sense of completion, which naturally leads to better memory and a much calmer mind. So let's flip the script. Section 4, the power of single tasking. Reframing this as an elite advantage. We really need to completely reframe how we view giving one single thing our undivided attention. It's not slacking off. I absolutely love this powerful quote from Dr. James Rouse. He says, "Single tasking is a practice in vulnerability. It's an art of overcoming self-oppression due to multitasking." That hits hard, right? It acknowledges that shutting out the noise requires genuine courage, but it is literally the only path to real peace and prolific productivity.
And the concrete benefits of this intense focus are undeniable. In a business setting, it leads to clearer, way more consistent decisions and drastically reduced downstream rework because, well, you aren't making sloppy, divided attention mistakes. And personally, it gives you greater presence, highly precise communication, and deeply fulfilling personal relationships. Why? Because you are actually fully there with the person standing right in front of you. This leads right into Section 5, entering the flow state, the absolute optimal zone. Everything we've talked about leads us to the ultimate goal of single tasking, reaching that highly satisfying psychological zone known as the flow state. The psychologist who originally coined the term, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, defines flow beautifully. He describes it as the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. This intense level of focus brings this incredible, effortless momentum to even the most difficult tasks. But here's the thing. Flow doesn't just happen by accident. You actively have to invite it in. First, you've got to avoid hunger to keep your glucose levels stable. I mean, nobody focuses well when they're hangry, right? You absolutely must prioritize sleep because fatigue completely blocks focus. You have to stop multitasking to avoid that cognitive switching penalty we just talked about. And for the dull, routine work, gamify those boring tasks with little mini challenges to deeply engage your mind.
All right, moving to our final piece, Section 6, How to Single Task, an actionable roadmap. So, the crucial point is, how do we actually implement this in our daily lives? Our first key technique is time boxing. This means setting a strict block of time to work on one specific task and stopping the absolute second the alarm sounds. It really forces prioritization. But a quick warning straight from the research, do not rigidly time block your leisure activities. If you do that, your free time and fun will just end up feeling like another stressful chore, and we definitely don't want that. Now, if you want a totally foolproof, structured way to ease into time boxing, use the Pomodoro technique. Step 1, choose one priority task, just one. Step 2, eliminate all distractions. Put the phone in another room. Step 3, set a timer for exactly 25 minutes. Step 4, work intensely until that timer rings and then you rest. It's an incredibly effective way to bypass that initial friction of just getting started. You can also start building your single-tasking muscle literally today with a few incredibly simple micro-practices from Dr. Rouse and Dr. Leroy. Just drive the car. Seriously, keep your hands at 10 and 2 with the radio completely off. Or just do the dishes. Focus entirely on the soap, the water, and that awesome satisfaction of completion. And at work, tackle your absolute hardest tasks before 9:30 a.m. when your brain is at its sharpest. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. I want to conclude by directly challenging you with this final thought. What is the one next task that you will give your absolute undivided attention to right now? Seriously, close those extra mental browser tabs, put your phone totally out of sight, and immediately go apply this new superpower to your very next action. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.